Let's move over to topic number 2. Speaking of call-up success, as we talked about Zoe, I think Zoe's been on the up and up. You know, nothing amazing, but I think she's in the right trajectory. So I kind of want to talk about our recent 2023 draft that happened again, kind of revisit that, and specifically talk about our NXT call-ups and who's doing well, who's not doing well, and the people who are just kind of not even around. So let's go through and talk about call-ups. So I have the whole draft list up here. So I'm kind of scrolling through to see who on here was call-ups themselves. Now, granted, when going through this, I don't watch week-to-week Raw, SmackDown, NXT, that stuff. I am primarily out on the outskirts, just keeping track of stuff through social media or podcasts and stuff like that. So if they don't cover everything and I don't see it, or there's backstage stuff and the people are actually being used, great. My apologies that I'm not knowledgeable of that, but just so you guys know, I'm like, oh, so-and-so's been in nothing. Well, actually, they're doing this. Then, whoopsie. So the draft was back in May. So 3 months. Okay, so 3 months check-in here for our NXT call-ups. So, we got LA Knight. Big one. He's doing great. You know, obviously he's taken a lot into his hands in terms of just kind of mic work and winning people over that way. I know it was a little rough at the start. Having a program with The Fiend, not a bad thing, but definitely was there more to elevate Bray and his stuff, and Knight was just his figurehead. But since, obviously, he's kind of pulled a little bit more towards his own momentum with the SummerSlam Battle Royale, and now beating The Miz and potentially working with Cena. He's gotten over organically, booking-wise, maybe hasn't been the best until these later months, but LA Knight doing good there. Pretty deadly start off strong, didn't they? Obviously, it's a little bit of a situation of the injury, shoulder injury, I believe. You know, things happen. You can't plan for all of that. But I was really happy that they were getting pushed pretty seemingly well when they did first start out. They did get an undisputed title match on SmackDown before... when was that? It was like, it was before Backlash, before Puerto Rico. So glad they got that title shot. Wish they could have still been around. And I think I have an idea of what you could do, but I don't think they've been doing anything. I think Elton is the member who was hurt with his shoulder, but I don't think Kit Wilson is doing anything. And I think for these two specifically, it's not about their in-ring work. Their in-ring work is fine, but it's about their characters. And I think their characters can still be around and do something to keep them relevant to TV audiences and the fans watching. We got it the first week after Elton was hurt, where we had them do the little shtick of like, oh, I'm hurt, I'm in the wheelchair, and then Brawling Brutes came out and dealt with them, and then they kind of ran away. Do stuff like that with them. They're good talkers, they're good heel characters where you like love to hate them because they're annoying and stuff, but be better at putting them into situations, even if they're not wrestling. Have them do a backstage segment, have them on commentary, have them, I don't know, even do .com stuff. Granted, I don't know if they're doing .com stuff, but like have them be these talking heads that just appear from time to time, even in the backstage area, whether it's crossing paths with somebody or talking shit real quick and then getting out of there. Have them still around, because just having them off TV, especially as newer people to the general audience, you're going to forget fast. And even when they do return, I don't know if it's going to be this big thing of like, oh my God, Pretty Deadly's back. It will be for the hardcore who are already fans of them or fans of NXT. But for somebody who's just seeing them for the first time in the call-up, oh, okay, they're doing great. Instantly, they're going to forget them. Like, wrestling fans, we have very short-term memories. So, I don't know. Get them involved in somewhere backstage. I think they would shine. And speaking of tag teams, Katana Chance and Kane Carter, another one. And there'll be another one coming up soon because it popped in my head. These ladies can crush it in the tag team division. They got good chemistry. They got cool tag team moves. Could their characters use a little bit more spice and dice? Yes. But I think they're just starting a program now with Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. We need to do more with them. We need to, ladies in general, we need to do more with them. Give them time, let them do stuff. The tag division for the ladies is already kind of, yeah, but this is an established tag team. We need to keep them going. Or, they can help spark something in this tag division, along with Isla Dawn and, I guess I'll just skip ahead to Dawn and Fire. Established tag team. They got a cool gimmick. Do something with them. Dawn and Fire literally were there to be, hey, we're the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. Hey, we're going to unify these belts with Shayna and Ronda. And then we get our ass whooped. And then we're nothing. No, I don't think they've done a single thing since that whole unification. Stupid. Do something with these teams. Don't just bring them up. You could have done the unification angle without bringing them up if you really, really wanted to. But instead, they're just nowhere. Cameron Grimes. He just did the U.S. Championship tournament, but that was the first thing since he showed up. Curb stomped, or whatever he calls his little stomp maneuver, Baron Corbin in 1 in 5 seconds. And he's had far and few between. What are we doing? That's going to be a lot of these what are we doings, unfortunately, where it's details. Let's see. We also had... Oh, interesting. It says Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo, but they were free agents. I don't know. Whoever did this .com fucked up. Indus on Raw. That's been a fun one. Odyssey Jones. And yeah. Okay. Odyssey Jones. Solid. Solid in ring. Solid, personality. That was a weird one. I think he should have stuck in NXT, tried to build his character a little bit, do something. He didn't have many programs. He was just kind of like a filler piece, it felt. He did very well in the, what was it, Up and Rising. They had some newcomer tournament, Rising Star or something like that. I think Mello won it overall. He did good in that, but yeah, nothing. Indus. Another one. Maybe I should just lift off everybody before I just keep going, oh, this person sucks. This person sucks. So other call-offs, we had Zion Quinn from NXT. Going into night 2, or night 1 maybe, however they listed this. La 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 la. Fire and Dawn we talked about. Indy Hartwell. Then on the post show, we had Zoe Stark, we had JD McDonough, we had Apollo Crews, and Von Wagner. Okay, so that's everybody. So there's been a lot of misses. We talked about Odyssey Jones. Haven't seen him since he's been drafted. Zion Quinn, free agent, can literally go to any of the 3 brands. Haven't seen him. Dawn and Fire, we haven't seen them since the tag debacle stuff. Indy, we just saw. Granted, she came up with an ankle injury, so that's fine. So let's keep momentum going with her. Or try and establish and build her. Pretty Deadly, we talked about them getting hurt, so that's a thing. Grayson Waller, another one that unfortunately came up with injury. He's one I think I have better faith in, where he's picking up momentum. Granted, it's a lot of talk shows. I get it. Once again, came up with an injury, so you can't have him in the ring. That was smart. Let's use his TV program and talking skills to get him in front of people and keep them in front of people, and that was good. So I think them handling Grayson Waller has been the right path, and I think he's got that, shitty heel antics that are just annoying, people are picking up on that. So he'll be one, I think, with the continued time and investment, that's going to be totally fine. Indus a weird one, because that's another one I feel like they should have kept him in NXT, not in a bad way. They have the size, obviously, which is threatening and looming. They haven't done anything. They literally did nothing in NXT, similar to Zion, similar to Odyssey, where this just felt like we're padding the tag division and then we're not even going to do anything with the tag division. So that's a weird one, and I wish they kind of kept him down in NXT to do some more work, get some more reps, because we've tried this before with Veer. Veer was exactly the same situation. Showed up in NXT for like a little bit, then got called up to Raw. Rather, he was coming to Raw for like 4 to 5 months, finally came, finally showed up, and like squashed people for 2-3 weeks, and then was gone again before they reformed into Cher. I believe it was a reformation. That seems like a misstep there. Could have been a good tag team, or at least, bodies in there to help that tag division, and it could have gone a positive direction. It's just they haven't done anything, so it just falls flat. Zion Quinn's another one where like he did stuff in the 2.0 rebrand, and he wasn't awful. There was a few times like he would slip up or things weren't super clean, but that's the point. You're in NXT, you're developmental talent, you're learning how to do these things. But then he was off TV for like ages, and now he's gotten this call up, and now we haven't seen him anywhere. Once again, free agent. He could show up on any of the 3 brands, which one other free agent, Von Wagner, actually does. He's been continuing to stay on NXT. He could just be called up at any point, but like his character's actually grown. So good for you, Von Wagner. Getting TV time, getting more comfortable on the mic, having a compelling story with him, getting into programs with Braun Breaker, Baron Corbin, potentially Dijak down the road. Like, that's good. I don't know. I guess the last one we'll talk about is JD McDonough. He's obviously now finally getting the ball rolling. We had a little tease of him and Finn early on after the draft. Then they kind of took a break from it. Now they're returning back to it to add to this Judgment Day kind of bubble and storyline that we're going with. Think that's good. Once again, put new people with established people. Him and Finn have history, so it's an easy write-in. Just a matter of continuing that now. I think you need to keep putting him in decent matches, not that Dolph Ziggler match with the double count out. That was horrendous. Put him in good, meaningful matches, even in losses, like a Sami Zayn one. As long as you have some overarching plot storyline behind it, that's fine. So yeah, it's just interesting, this recent draft, because this was the first one with Triple H and stuff like that. And I thought I remember seeing some kind of article where they were like, nobody's going to get called up from NXT unless we have a plan. Which I was like, oh, that's great. Roster's already bloated as is, and, storylines here and there aren't the greatest. So if you don't have a plan for them, it's like, why even bother? And it seems like, unfortunately, that was not the case. Granted, I know it cannot be easy to keep all of these superstars, characters, stories, keep the juggling, keep all the balls up in the air and keep them there safely. Like, it's gonna be a tough task. But also, you have how many writers, how many producers, all this stuff. From there, it's just a matter of puzzle pieces. If a bunch of different people can go out there, like a Shane Helms, like a Michael Hayes, like a Petey Williams, I don't know who's actually writing and producing, so these are just names I know who are backstage. If you could take these people and be like, okay, here's 6 people, I don't know, 6 people you're in charge of. Make stories with them, talk with them, figure out what they want to do, what motivates them, try and come up with these angles and things together with a writer, and Then there's the pitching meetings. You pitch, and then from there, oh, this sounds good. Oh, this sounds good. This sounds good. And puzzle piece. And I think in ways, obviously, that has improved. There's longer-term stories. There's other stories we're really invested in. It's just a matter of figuring it all out. I don't mean to say this is like a participation trophy thing where everybody's got to get a chance. Everybody's got to get the world title. But you can't have anybody succeed if you don't even give them the chance to. So it's got to be like, give them a little bit of chance, sink or swim, or like, oh, this is actually compelling or good. Then you can invest more time in it. Especially when there is the amount of time of wrestling program alone in WWE that you do have. Raw, you got 3 hours. SmackDown, you got 2. NXT, you got 2. Main event, I know people are probably wrestling on main event, but they need to do something where, like, if you're going to tell stories there that people actually care type thing, from the little bit of main event that I've watched, one, it's a tool to get people in front of the Raw audience and get them used to that crowd and test out new characters, chemistry, stuff like that. That's fine. Totally fine. So it's essentially the dark matches. But then the main event show, if you're watching the program on like the network or Hulu, it's just a giant recap show. So a fan who's keeping up with stuff, that's not really worth the investment of my time to get a 5-minute match with Akira Tozawa and someone else to then watch 30 minutes of recapping the events that happened on Raw and SmackDown when I already know that. Like, if you're just going to use that time, I think that show has its place, but I don't know. It's a little rough. I said use that time, but also don't use that time, and that's a good show. Now I'm just circling on myself. I feel there's ways to use the time well to get enough new stories or other stories going on at the same time. It's just that weird puzzle and configuration that they need to figure out. Maybe you don't have every story going every week, or maybe it's just a backstage segment this week, or a promo here. Some stories you can have multiple across the 3 hours, multiple interaction points, but there has to be something. There shouldn't be any like filler of like, this is just a match because it's a match. I feel like everything should have a purpose for being there. What is this match's purpose? This match's purpose is to get, hypothetically, Johnny Gargano is going to win this match, which makes the heel mad, which makes an attack, which makes Tommaso Ciampa come in and try and help, get a little DIY build there. Then you got Piper Niven and Chelsea Green doing a backstage segment with Chance and Carter talking about their next week's match and establishing something there. Then you have Becky coming out for a promo, which gets interrupted by Asuka. I don't know. I'm just pulling names here, you know. You have that. Then you have the main event, which is the tag match, Judgment Day against Seth and Cody, because Seth has a program with Damian, and then Cody's there showing support. But after the match, the good guys win, and then from the back on the Titantron, Roman's calling out Cody. Like, you know, there's all these different elements you can play with, and like obviously there's oodles and oodles of more, like we talked about earlier with like people on commentary or whatever. Everything should have a purpose and shouldn't be just like, I don't know, we're filling time, just throw out Dexter Lumis out there to beat up somebody. That's where it gets interesting. And it's a lot easier. It's very easy for me to sit in this chair doing nothing and just be like, you should fix this, you should fix that. I'm not trying to say everything's awful, everything's bad. It's not. I think there's just ways to make it better and use these people you've claimed you called up for reasons. Like, is it just the excitement of like, oh my god, NXT person got called up, yay, and then we don't do anything with them? Is that all it is just that excitement and talking point in that moment for internet engagement? I guess, but like, that's temporary. You want something that's long term. Take these characters that you call up get the buzz from the hardcore, like, oh, so Grayson Waller's called up, great, can't wait to see what he does next, and then keep the momentum going of Grayson Waller's an asshole, Grayson Waller's in this program, Grayson Waller's legit, Grayson Waller's going for the U.S. title, oh, didn't win the U.S. title here, goes after this program, goes out, like a continual interest in this character and a continual buzz around your programming. You want that. You don't just want like flash in the pan. Who's that guy? So that's all. And granted, this has been years and years of this. I was just hoping it was a little better under a new regime. Whether you believe there's a new regime or not, I digress. We're looping around again. This has been another episode of the Wait What Do We Talk About podcast. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011, and you can catch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011. You can drop a follow over there, get notified when we go live with the show, join the conversation, join on the fun. We'd love to have you in on all the chaos, but if you can't catch it live, that's a-okay. You can go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video in MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, any way you can support the show, follow, subs, likes, shares, reviews, anything you can think of. It may seem small, but does help the channel grow significantly. So if you do that, I would love and appreciate you for it. Thanks for hanging out today, guys, to talk some wrestling with me. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.